Hey, what's up, folks? Back again studying the ancient Egyptian map. Like, this is a 5,500-year-old Hierakonpolitan map from, Tomb 100 at Hierakonpolis, also called Nekhen, I believe. This Hierakonpolis city in Nome province of ancient Egypt. So this is something from the northern part of it, just north of Canada, basically. So I hadn't figured out who this guy is or what his weird crossbow thing is. I guess it's like a crossbow. I don't know what the heck this is, but basically shaped kind of like a crossbow. So I think it's probably this is the crossbow. It's up there in the Arctic Sea, Arctic archipelago, or, could be this. I was thinking this, it really shows how in specific regions you'll see the same shapes repeated over and over. So this island is almost the same shape as that island. I was thinking this was this guy based on the shape of the head seemed to match, like especially the back of his head kind of matches there, and then this more or less matches. So it could be that. But it also could be this, because I think there's a little channel here. So if you forget about these things and just look at this peninsula here, it kind of looks like a little guy with little arms or whatever. So yeah, it could be that too. It could be either this or this is my guess. Or it could be somehow that this is the crossbow and then this guy is maybe this and some other islands combined. Who knows? It's pretty mystical, i.e. mysterious in modern parlance. So yeah, this is that peninsula. So there could very well be him. Although the shape of the head, it kind of works, it's hard to say. But like the body of this works better for the body, at least, like it's like this is the body and then these are the little arms coming out, and it's positioned correctly because it's like right east of this thing, which is like larger than him, it seems like. So could be that. Try to keep working on it. Yeah, so this is like the whole area. So I was thinking these are like Ursa Major and Ursa Minor, and it might be because those are the northernmost constellations and this is the North Pole, but it could also be a terrestrial or a terrestrial celestial thing, so that both terrestrial and celestial. And by the way, this also shows part of the face of North of America. I think this might have been meant to be the face of America, of hell, of Amentet Neferet, of Hades maybe, and Pluto maybe. That basically, it just says Korea seems to be Osiris's face, or no, Mongolia seems to be Osiris's face, or like Manchuria, and Korea is his beard. This for Amentet Neferet, who's the goddess that seems to represent America, this may be her face because it doesn't have a beard. So I didn't even mean to include that, but it does show that. Or maybe I did mean. No, I think I was just trying to include all these islands and stuff. So yeah, if it turns out that this crossbow is actually this thing instead of this, then it could be that this guy is like a mix of a couple islands here. Like maybe this is his head and this is his body or something. Hard to know. I'm kind of leaning I don't know. None of these are super super obvious, so I'll probably just keep fiddling with that until I get a better handle on it. Like, this is what I was thinking for a bit, like that this is his crossbow and this is him, and the fact that they're not positioned right is, you know, they often reconfigure these to make a story. Just like how the Desertus Islands were moved to be the spear that is embedded in Madeira, whereas really it's off the coast of Madeira a little ways. So, you know, this is possible. The best argument for this is just the shape of his head matches the shape of this head more. So it could be this, but if so, it's very confusing. I don't freaking know. Victoria Island, Melville Island. Let's see. So this is in the Baltic. These are the gatekeepers of the Baltic. So this is like if you want to enter the Baltic from like the Atlantic Ocean, then you had to squeeze through. You have to, you know, come through here, because in this, I think this is south, this is north. So you come in from the north and you got to get through here to go into the Baltic Sea. And so it looks to me like faces, you know, like this is a face with a nose, eye, mouth, saying something, maybe a beard or something, maybe long hair, I don't know. Or it could just be a pointy chin, I don't know, it looks like a beard. And then this guy, his nose, his eye, his mouth, and then he's saying something too, because there's this peninsula that's barely attached right on his upper lip. There's his chin, his mouth, his shoulder, his other shoulder. And then this guy, they're all pretty Neanderthaloid morphologically, like their nasal morphology is very aquiline. And especially this guy, I guess. And so this would be his nose, this would be his eye, maybe closed eye, I'm not sure. And then his mouth is very close to his nose. So this is the more different looking kind of guy. And then this would be like his hat, I guess. And then this also looks like a dog's face if you look at it with south as up. So there's, I think, at least a solid chance that these were actually somewhat shaped into these shapes in ancient times, you know, by dikes and, you know, by cutting away parts maybe, but also augmenting parts using dikes like they do in Holland. Because, you know, they say half of Holland used to be ocean and then they just built it. And that's the same thing the Incas did and the Mayans did. They were all very famous for building land where there was none. So they could easily shape, you know, and they shaped Machu Picchu or Huayna Picchu into a massive face that looks a lot like this. So there's no reason they couldn't do the same for like peninsulas and islands. So yeah, this is a, you know, just not like super professional job, but I just took this little image of the Eye of Horus or whatever it is and just superimposed it, you know. Probably didn't place it like exactly perfect, but it's just to give people the impression in case they somehow don't see where these people's eyes would be or what these kind of shapes might be. And then this, once you get through there, you had to pass these two guys. So to me, this also lines up really well. Like this would be like a bird, some kind of maybe I don't freaking know. Maybe it's a phoenix. Some kind of bird there. And then this is like a guy laying down. His nose, you know, his nose here, his mouth is open, his chin is here, And then this is his arm, and this is his hand with like his thumb and fingers here. So I'm not sure if this is all part of the ancient Egyptian tradition. This would be the shape that's like a dog. So yeah, but I would be surprised if at least some of these weren't part of some ancient gatekeeper tradition, and I certainly wouldn't be surprised if some or all of these were deliberately carved or augmented. I mean, this looks a lot like a dog, you know, like the nose is the mouth, he's like drooling, his tongue is hanging out almost a little bit, his lower lip, this is his ear, you know. It's a pretty good dog, better than I could draw. This is him without the eye superimposed on. So this is this guy without the eye superimposed on, but the eye is still visible there, basically, like the pupil and the, you know, other part. And then, yeah, it just seems like this is barely attached. These might be the three smokers in the Mesoamerican codices that are in gatekeepers in the underworld. There's three men that are all have like Neanderthaloid noses, and they're all smoking. And so this might be, it might be a reference to these guys, that they're all blowing out smoke. I know in the Egyptian system, the Baltic seems to be called the Shrine of the Winter Solstice, because I guess that's where the sun is. The sun is in the north in the winter somehow. Even though that's, or I guess it rises in the north, or it sets in the north. I don't know. Something. So yeah, you know, his shoulder is pretty good. It fits, like his chin, everything basically fits. You know, he has this weird bay here, but you can kind of ignore that. Or maybe because they're the smokers, so maybe he has like, you know, cancer of the lungs or something. Throat cancer, like I probably have. I don't know. Anyway, this is another guy. So yeah, I'm thinking like that's his nose. This is his mouth. He even has like a teeth here, like sharp teeth. This is like a canine. And it looks like his eye is closed. Like that's just the eyelid. You know, it's like a big chin and his neck here and everything. And I don't know if that's his ear or not, but whatever. So there's that. And then this is the other one. So I'm not sure if this is a beard or if this is just a pointy chin, and it's a woman maybe with long hair, or it could, you know, it could be a man with a beard and long hair. Who knows? But like the eye looks pretty distinct, you know, like shape right there, and even has like kind of lines like an Eye of Horus. And this would be the pupil, I guess, and it even has like an eyebrow. The nose is very strange, you know, in its shape, because it kind of like really turns to a long, thin point. But the mouth is very well articulated, and you know, that as is the neck somewhat. So yeah, it's just kind of open question of whether this is a beard or a chin or what. So those are the gatekeepers to, if you ever want to enter the Baltic by boat, you will now be better situated to do so, because you'll know what you're going to encounter. See, this is just another image of the ancient map, which is crisper than some of the other images I've been using. You know, that since the original was destroyed by the Egyptian government, we just have to use these photos, and so it's just a question of finding the better photos to use. So yeah, this is that northern area, the Arctic. This is Britain, and this is the Azores, this is Bahamas, this is Cuba, and I think Jamaica. This is like Canada and Alaska and Baja California, Florida, Texas, Yucatan, that kind of thing. Kamchatka, Japan. Let's see, what does this say? So the Britain is referred to as the white, basically Albion, which was the ancient Greek name for it, was also basically the Egyptian name for it, but the Egyptian one is in Egyptian, so it's Skemi, which means white, but no, actually this is about something else. Let's see, what is this? The Resurrection Salute, the House of Osiris, the Lord of Roset Jau. So Roset Jau seems to be the Pacific Ocean, based on these maps. Like the entire Pacific is referred to as Roset Jau. And let's see. So Osiris is the Lord of Roset Jau because he's like facing towards, he's Afro-Eurasia, it seems like, and he's facing towards the Pacific Ocean. So he's the like Lord of it. And he has a bunch of peninsulas sticking out into it. So that's how he like is the Lord of it. Okay, so this gray-haired one has bent his arm for me. The gray-haired ones are bending their arms for me. So this is not, I don't think this is anything about baboons at all. This is just typical idiotic translation, I think, where they'll just pull something out of their ass. Because gray-haired one is Britain, which is basically, where is it? Scummy. So scummy means gray-haired ones, and scum just means gray-haired, or it just means gray or white, basically. So it doesn't actually say hair, I don't think. This basically just says, basically just means the white one has white or gray one, the non-black one, the one who is deprived of blackness or something, has bent his arm for me. So I think that's about Britain, because the whole focus of Britain is on his arms being like, like this is Britain in the 5,500-year-old map, where his arm seems to be Argyle here. And but I think his arms plural could be that there's one where I think it says, or gray ones bend your arms. So if it just says gray one or white one or whatever, bend your arm for me, then it's saying, let me pass through this strait right here, like the Strait of Kintyre or whatever you call that. So, but if it says arms plural, which I think there's other ones where maybe, or even where it says white ones are bending their arms plural, it may refer to another avatar in which this is multiple giants, and every peninsula is different giants' arms. So that would include like Argyll, Galloway, and these Welsh peninsulas, and maybe even some stuff up here like Jura and Isla and stuff. Isla, whatever they call it. So yeah, and it would be called white because of the White Cliffs of Dover, because the exposed white limestone, grayish white limestone, like along the coasts. It was, universally known by that historically. He will bend for you Osiris's knees. I think this is about Madagascar, which is my antipode. Because it's near the part of Africa that seems to be Osiris's knees. The gray-haired god, to be old and gray-haired, old man the aged. So Skam is the name for Britain, or Skami. Or Skemi. Maybe that's it, Skemi. All right, and then what else we got? It refers to Britain as, in the Book of Two Ways, it calls Britain the one who, or it refers to the four gods who rose up out of Uto. And this is supposedly Uto. So, aka Uajet or Wajet. So I think she might be mainland Europe. So I think Finn McCool, the giant, is the same as the white one. Finn means white. So I think he's Britain. I think Sky here is his face. And this is, I'm guessing this is the salmon of knowledge, but it could be this too. So it's trying, ways to memorize these straits so you can pass through here without dying, without running aground. So yeah, the focus on his arms, the arms of the white one or the white-haired one, it also extends to the 4,000-year-old Book of Two Ways of Jehudi Hotep, where this is his arm holding Ireland. So again, it says, bend your arm for me. It's like, let me get through the Irish Sea. See, this is just, I was trying to show how in the Azores, which may have been Atlantis, was traditionally considered to be the location of Atlantis. There's a similar type of, inlet, harbor type of thing, like basically this exact same shape. And it's at the end of what seems to potentially be the extremely long and deep harbor that was cut by the ancients as described by Plato. And then there seems to be a circle at the other end, which was also described as by Plato. But it's interesting that this one, so I don't know if I can find that. If I can find it, then it will be meaningful. But otherwise, it's just me talking about this. This one shows the Western provinces more distinctly that are shown. These are the heads of these hostages, Ulster, Connacht, and Munster. And let's see. So this would be Atlantis, or this was one of the best theories of where the heart of Atlantis was, and basically the Azores, especially the reddish part and surrounding areas. But Plato said it had a really long, really deeply cut docks that nobody would believe that humans had actually made. And so that could be, it could be this whole thing, or maybe especially from here to here. And then he said the main harbor was circular. So that could be this thing here, which would kind of be the entrance into the island. but it seemed like there may have been another entrance, like into this part of the island, which is shaped just like, just like Chetumal. So it could be that the Mayans were Atlanteans, and that once this got flooded, they moved to the Yucatan and they recreated it in Chetumal by kind of like, cutting away maybe some parts of the coastline and extending other parts with like dikes and stuff. And so, that's very plausible. It's not really sure, but I'm sure like these type of avatars are probably as old as Atlantis, and I'd say there's at least 50% chance that some of these, or maybe even all of them, were augmented and that the shapes were actually like partly artificial. So, I would just say, yeah, between that and that, like this Chetumal Bay and whatever bay this might have been, to me it looks the same. So I think they might have, and it would also make sense why the Mayans had the highest, one of the highest levels of, I believe it's R1B gene or something, which is also the other biggest concentration of it is along the opposite side of the Atlantic coast. So that would make sense if that was kind of the Atlantic and Atlantean lineage. And let's see, Paria Peninsula. Yeah, I was going to show this on the better map if I can. This one's pretty good for showing how this, the Outer Hebrides looks like a big club and stuff. Okay, so here, I guess. So here we can see like at least the rest of this guy, because this is another really good photo, but it's even better, I guess, except that it's just very limited in its scope. So this way we can see the rest of that guy that's cut off, basically. Like this guy, because that photo cuts off part of his body. So you can see it does still match with the Shetland Isles, that both legs, taper down to a thin kind of point and have like a little foot at the bottom, and then he has this big elbow sticking way back, and this part sticking out of his like belt or something right there. And his legs are pretty separated compared to like some of the others. And then it seems like this might be his Heka staff, and maybe this whole thing is his head, or I'm not sure if this is all included with him or just this part. And then pharaohs with the leg there, it's all basically distinct islands. Like one leg is that, then this line is like this leg here, and then this elbow is this part here, and then this part is like up here, and then his head is probably just something here. It's pretty vaguely defined because that's how it is. And then Britain, of course, is holding Ulster, Connacht, and Munster, the three hostages. and so forth. So anyway, I think my phone probably is going to cut this off in a minute, but I'll just see if I have anything else to show. I'll see if I can delete anything, which no, it doesn't seem like I can. It's like this app just crashes every time I use it, and then I have to close it and reopen it. I guess they only want you to open like a few photos at once. This, I think this could relate to, it's certainly similar to the avatar for Colombia and Venezuela, with the weird hooves sticking out into the Caribbean.